Naomi had learned to count steps the way most wolves learn to count sheep. 37 steps from her small room in the servant quarters to the kitchen. 62 to the laundry room. 108 to the main gates of the Silverstone Pax estate. Numbers became her navigation, her way of mapping a world she could no longer see. The scars across her face pulled tight when she smiled, which she'd learned not to do often. People found it unsettling when a blind woman with ruined eyes and raised claw marks smiled at them. It made them uncomfortable, reminded them of vulnerability and violence, and how quickly everything could be taken away. So Naomi kept her expression neutral, her head slightly bowed, and moved through the servant quarters like a ghost who'd learned not to haunt too obviously. She'd been 17 when the rogues attacked, just old enough to understand what she was losing as the silver-poisoned claws raked across her eyes. The pain had been extraordinary, but worse was the darkness that followed. Permanent, absolute, endless darkness. For years later, she still sometimes woke up expecting to see sunlight through her window, only to remember that sunlight was something she'd never witness again. Welcome to Ken's Romance Stories, where every heartbeat has a story and every scar has a name. Where are you watching from tonight? I hope your day's been gentle on you. And if it hasn't, may this story bring you a little peace, a little magic, and a reason to believe in love again. Let's dive in. Naomi, Madam Chin's voice carried from the kitchen, sharp but not unkind. I need you to make a delivery to the northern border outpost. Bedding and supplies. Mark is called in sick, so you'll be going alone. Naomi's hands stilled in the laundry water where she'd been scrubbing sheets. Alone? Madam, I've never made that trip without a guide. I know, girl, but we're short-staffed and the guards are expecting the delivery today. You've walked that trail dozens of times. You know it well enough. Madam Chin's footsteps approached, and Naomi felt a weathered hand touch her shoulder. Straight there and back. If the weather turns, find shelter immediately. Your life isn't worth a bundle of linens. Naomi wanted to refuse, wanted to explain that knowing a trail with a guide was different from navigating it alone. But she'd spent 4 years proving she wasn't useless, wasn't a burden, could earn her keep despite her disability. Refusing would undo all that work. I'll be careful, she said quietly. I'll leave at dawn. That night, Naomi barely slept. She mentally reviewed every landmark on the trail. The lightning-struck pine tree, whose burnt bark she could feel with her walking stick, the stream whose babbling grew louder as you approached, the boulder shaped like a sleeping bear that marked the halfway point. She'd memorized the scents, too. The wild roses near the trailhead, the mineral smell of the rocky outcropping at the 3-hour mark, the wood smoke from the outpost's fires that signaled she was close. She set out before sunrise, her walking stick tapping ahead of her, a heavy bundle of linens and supplies strapped to her back. The pre-dawn air was cold but clear, and Naomi moved with practiced confidence. She'd survive this. She'd make the delivery, return home, and prove once again that blindness didn't make her incompetent. The first 3 hours went perfectly. She found every landmark exactly where it should be, her internal map matching reality step by step. The outpost guards were grateful for the delivery, pressed a cup of hot tea into her hands, and offered to let her rest before the return journey. But Naomi could smell snow in the air, that distinctive metallic clean scent that preceded storms, and she wanted to get as far toward home as possible before it hit. She made it an hour into the return journey before the temperature plummeted. The wind picked up suddenly, howling through the trees with a fury that made Naomi stop walking. Snow began falling in thick, heavy flakes that she felt hitting her face and hands. Within minutes, the familiar sounds of the forest were muffled under accumulating snow, and the wind was loud enough to drown out the stream she'd been using as a guide. Naomi stood perfectly still, her walking stick gripped in white-knuckled hands, trying not to panic. The trail should be directly ahead, but she couldn't feel it beneath the rapidly deepening snow. The wind kept changing direction, disorienting her completely. She couldn't smell anything except cold and dampness. She was lost. She took 3 careful steps forward and her foot hit empty air. She jerked backward, her heart hammering. A drop-off. She nearly walked over an embankment or cliff. Tears froze on her scarred cheeks as the reality hit her. She was going to die out here, blind and alone, probably frozen solid before anyone found her body. Her wolf stirred for the first time in years. Since the attack that took her sight, her wolf had retreated so deep that Naomi had wondered if that part of her had died too. But now she felt it pressing forward, alert and insistent. Then she heard it, a howl, deep and resonant, cutting through the storm like a blade through silk. It wasn't the aggressive cry of a rogue or the warning of a territorial wolf. This was something else, a call deliberate and directed, like someone signaling. Her wolf surged, practically clawing to get out. Follow, it seemed to say. Trust. Help. Naomi screamed into the storm, her voice raw. Please. I can't see. I'm lost. The howl came again, closer and slightly to her right. Naomi turned toward it, abandoning her walking stick as she dropped to her hands and knees and crawled through snow that was already knee-deep. The howl guided her, coming at regular intervals, pulling her forward through the blizzard. Her hands hit stone. Rough, cold, unmistakably a cave entrance. The howling was coming from inside. Naomi crawled into the darkness, gasping with relief as the wind suddenly cut off. She was maybe 10 feet into the cave when she felt a presence behind her, massive and warm. Hot breath ghosted across the back of her neck. The scent hit her, winter pine, clean snow, and something wildly masculine that made her wolf whimper with recognition. This wasn't a normal pack wolf. This was an alpha, powerful and dangerous, and she just crawled into his den. Please, Naomi whispered, too cold and desperate to run. I'm lost. I need shelter. I won't be any trouble. She heard the unmistakable sounds of shifting, bones cracking and reforming, a low growl that became a human groan. Then a man's voice, deep and commanding, but somehow gentle. You're safe now. Come deeper into the cave. There's a fire already going. Strong hands, large and warm, caught her shoulders and guided her further into the cave. Naomi stumbled on numb legs, letting this stranger lead her. She felt the blast of heat from a fire and nearly sobbed with relief. Those same hands guided her to sit on something soft, blankets or furs, near the flames. Hold on, the voice said. I have more blankets. Naomi held her shaking hands toward the fire, trying to process what had happened. A stranger had howled to guide her through a blizzard to his cave shelter. He'd shifted from wolf to human to help her. He was being kind when he could have easily left her to die, or worse. Heavy fabric settled around her shoulders, a cloak thick and well-made. Naomi pulled it tight, and her fingers recognized quality material, far finer than anything a traveler should own. Thank you, she managed through chattering teeth. You saved my life. I thought I was going to die out there. You would have, the man said matter-of-factly. That's one of the worst blizzards I've seen in years. What were you doing out there alone? Delivering supplies to the northern border outpost. Naomi kept her face turned toward the fire, away from where his voice was coming from. Let him see the back of her head, her black hair braided tightly against her skull. Let him have a few more moments before he saw the ruin of her face. I was heading back when the storm hit. I got disoriented and lost the trail. You're from a Silverstone pack? Something shifted in his tone. Surprise, maybe concern. I'm a servant there. A maid in the Omega quarters. Naomi heard the defensive note in her own voice and hated it. I work as a weaver and laundress mostly. This was just a delivery run. A servant who makes 6-hour journeys through dangerous territory alone. The man moved closer, and Naomi felt him settle on the cave floor near her. That seems like a lot to ask of anyone, especially in winter. I'm usually escorted. Today I wasn't. Naomi pulled the cloak tighter. What about you? Are you a traveler? There was a pause, brief but noticeable. Yes. I was returning from business in the Eastern Territories when the storm caught me. Fortunate for both of us that I found this cave already stocked with supplies. That was a lie. Naomi's enhanced hearing caught the hesitation, the careful phrasing. This man was hiding something significant, but she was too grateful and too cold to push. My name is Naomi, she offered. What's yours? Kieran. he said after another slight pause. Just Kieran. Just Kieran, who commanded like an alpha and lied like someone with secrets to protect. Naomi filed that information away and focused on the more immediate problem, surviving until morning without revealing her blindness. Maybe in the dim firelight, he hadn't noticed her scarred face and milky eyes. Maybe she could keep her head turned, maintain the illusion of being a normal wolf for just a little while longer. Are you injured? Kieran asked. You're shivering badly. Just cold. I'll be fine once I warm up. Naomi flexed her fingers, tried to restore circulation. How long do you think the storm will last? Hours, probably through the night. We're stuck here until morning at least. Kieran moved around the cave, and she heard him arranging something. I have some dried meat and water. You should eat something. Your body needs fuel to warm up. Food appeared in her hands, strips of jerky and a water skin. Naomi ate mechanically, her enhanced senses mapping the cave through sound and smell. It was larger than she'd thought, the fire positioned near the center, supplies stacked against one wall. Kieran moved with confidence, familiar with the space like he'd been here before. This cave seems well prepared, Naomi observed. Do travelers use it often? It's a known shelter for border patrols and messengers. Kieran's voice came from across the fire. The Northern Territories can be harsh. Smart to have way stations stocked with supplies. They sat in silence for a while, the only sounds the crackling fire and the howling wind outside. Naomi's body slowly thawed, painful pins and needles as feeling returned. Her wolf remained unusually active, pacing restlessly, fixated on Kieran's presence. You're very calm for someone who was nearly dying an hour ago, Kieran said eventually. Panicking won't change anything. Naomi shifted the cloak around her shoulders. I learned a long time ago that some things you just have to accept and adapt to. That's a mature perspective. How old are you? 21. Naomi hesitated, then added, I've had to adapt to a lot. Because you're a servant? Among other things. Kieran made a thoughtful sound. You have excellent spatial awareness. You haven't stumbled once since entering the cave, and you moved through that blizzard on your hands and knees without hitting the cave walls. That takes remarkable body control. Naomi's heart sank. He'd noticed. Of course he had. An alpha that powerful wouldn't miss something so obvious. I navigate by sound and touch. I've had practice. You're blind. It wasn't a question. Naomi felt her face burn with shame despite the cold. Yes, I was attacked 4 years ago. Silver poison claws across my eyes. The damage was permanent. She waited for the pity, the disgust, the awkward discomfort that always followed this revelation. Instead, Kieran just said quietly, That must have been terrifying. How did you survive? The unexpected response made Naomi's throat tight. I was protecting children. Servant children hiding from rogues. One found us. I fought him off, but she gestured vaguely at her face. This was the cost. You saved them. Yes. Then the cost was worth it, Kieran said firmly. You're a hero, Naomi. A blind hero who still makes dangerous deliveries and navigates blizzards. That's extraordinary. Tears burned behind Naomi's ruined eyes. No one had ever called her a hero. No one had ever suggested her sacrifice was worth something. She was just the blind maid, the damaged servant, the burden who should be grateful for any work at all. I'm not a hero, she whispered. I'm just trying to survive. Survival in the face of impossible odds is its own kind of heroism. Kieran's voice was closer now, gentler. How long have you been working as a maid? 4 years. Since I recover enough to work again. Madam Chun was the only one willing to hire me. I do laundry, weaving, cooking, anything that doesn't require sight. And they send you on 6-hour deliveries through dangerous territory alone. The edge in his voice made Naomi defensive. I volunteered. I wanted to prove I could do it. You shouldn't have to prove anything. You've already proven more than most wolves do in their entire lives. Kieran shifted, and Naomi heard fabric rustling. I'm going to add more wood to the fire. The temperature is still dropping. As he moved around the cave, Naomi's wolf became increasingly agitated. Something about Kieran felt significant in a way she couldn't articulate. Her wolf recognized him, responded to him, wanted to be closer to him. But that was impossible. Wolves like her, blind, scarred, low status, didn't have fated mates. They didn't get destiny or moon goddess blessings. They got survival, if they were lucky. "Tell me about yourself," Naomi said, desperate to distract herself from the strange pull she felt toward this man. "What business were you conducting in the Eastern Territories?" Another pause. Kieran was very careful about what he revealed. Trade negotiations, supply agreements, boring political matters. "You don't sound like a merchant." "What do I sound like?" "An alpha, a powerful one." Naomi turned her head in his direction, her useless eyes focusing on where she thought his face might be. "You move with authority. You speak with command. In your presence," she struggled for words, "it's overwhelming, like standing near a bonfire. I can feel your dominance from across the cave." Kieran was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed, a rich sound that filled the space. "Perceptive. Most people don't notice those things unless I want them to. Most people rely on their eyes. I rely on everything else." Naomi managed a small smile. "So yes, you're an alpha. Probably high-ranking. Definitely hiding something. But you saved my life, so I'm not going to push." "I appreciate that." Kieran's voice held amusement and something warmer. "And you're right. I am hiding something. But not because I want to deceive you. Because I wanted to be seen as just a man for once, not a title or a position. That must be lonely." "It is." The admission sounded like it surprised him. "Very few people see past what I represent to who I actually am." "I can't see you at all," Naomi pointed out. "So I have no choice but to see who you are instead of what you look like. Maybe that's a gift instead of a limitation." Something in Naomi's chest loosened. "No one's ever suggested my blindness might be a gift before. Then they're idiots." Kieran moved closer, and Naomi felt him settle beside her. "You've developed abilities most wolves never cultivate. Your hearing is exceptional. Your spatial awareness is remarkable. Your ability to read people through voice and presence alone is extraordinary. Those are gifts, Naomi. Valuable ones." Naomi felt tears slip down her scarred cheeks. "Thank you for saying that. Even if you don't mean it. I mean every word." Kieran's hand found hers in the darkness, warm and solid. "You're remarkable, Naomi. Don't let anyone tell you differently." They sat in comfortable silence, hands clasped, while the storm raged outside. Naomi's wolf settled, content in a way it hadn't been in 4 years. This felt right. This felt like something she'd been searching for without knowing it. "Tell me what you look like," Kieran said eventually. "Since you can't see me, let me see you through words." Naomi's face burned. "I'm not much to look at. Black skin, black hair, usually kept in braids. Scars across my face from my eyes down to my jaw. My eyes are," she swallowed hard. "They're milky white now. Damaged. People find them disturbing. May I?" Kieran's free hand moved toward her face, hesitating. Naomi nodded, her heart racing. She felt his fingertips ghost across her forehead, tracing down to her ruined eyes with incredible gentleness. His fingers followed the raised scars across her cheeks, mapped the line of her jaw, brushed across her lips. "Beautiful," he murmured. "You're absolutely beautiful." "You're lying." Naomi tried to pull away, but he held her hand firmly. "I'm not. Your bone structure is elegant. Your skin is smooth except where the scars are, and scars are just evidence of battle survived. Your lips," his thumb brushed across them again. "Perfect. And your eyes, damaged or not, are striking. Unique. They tell a story of courage and survival." Naomi couldn't speak past the lump in her throat. No one had touched her face with tenderness since the attack. No one had called her beautiful. No one had looked at her scars and seen anything except damage. "Why are you being so kind to me?" she whispered. "Because you deserve kindness. Because you're extraordinary and you don't know it. Because," Kieran paused, his thumb still tracing her jaw. "Because my wolf recognized you the moment I caught your scent in the storm. Because I think the moon goddess led me here for a reason. Because you're mine, Naomi, and I'm yours, even if you don't feel it yet." Naomi's world tilted. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you're my mate. My true mate. The one I've been searching for my entire adult life. Kieran's voice was rough with emotion. I felt at the moment I howled, and you responded. I knew I had to find you, had to save you, had to keep you safe. That's not possible. Naomi shook her head violently. I'm nobody. I'm a blind maid from a pack that barely tolerates me. I can't be anyone's fated mate. Why not? Because you're blind? Because you have scars? Because ignorant wolves told you that you were broken? Kieran pulled her closer. Those things don't matter to the mate bond, Naomi. What matters is that our souls recognize each other, that we fit together in a way that nothing else ever will. Can't you feel it? Naomi could. That was the terrifying part. Her wolf was howling with recognition, pressing against her consciousness, demanding she accept what Kieran was offering. The pull toward him wasn't just gratitude or attraction. It was something deeper, primal, undeniable. Even if you're right, Naomi said desperately. Even if we are mates, it won't work. You're clearly high-ranking, important. When your pack sees me, blind, scarred, low status, they'll reject me. They'll reject us. I won't do that to you. My pack will accept who I choose. They don't have a choice. That's not fair to them. Or to you. Naomi tried to pull her hand free, but Kieran held firm. Life isn't fair, Naomi. You learned that when rogues took your sight. I learned it when I inherited a position I never asked for. But sometimes, rarely, the moon goddess gives us something precious. A gift we didn't expect. I'm not refusing that gift just because it comes in an unexpected package. You don't even know me. Then let me know you. We're trapped here until morning anyway. Talk to me. Tell me everything. Let me prove that what I feel is real. So Naomi talked. She told him about growing up in the pack orphanage, about parents she barely remembered who died in a pack war when she was 5, about learning to weave from an old Omega who'd taken pity on her, about the night the rogues attacked and how she'd hidden 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, all under 10, in a storage closet, about fighting off a massive rogue with nothing but an iron poker and sheer desperation, about waking up in darkness and thinking she'd died, only to realize her new reality was somehow worse. She told him about the 4 years since, about learning to navigate through sound and touch, about Madame Chun giving her a chance when no one else would, about the other servants who whispered that she was cursed, that her blindness was punishment for some unknown sin, about her uncle who'd told her she should have died with the children rather than surviving as a burden. And Kieran listened. Really listened. He asked questions that showed he cared about the details, that he saw her as a person with depth and complexity, not just a blind maid or a potential mate. He laughed at her dry observations about other servants' drama. He growled when she mentioned her uncle's cruelty. He praised her for surviving when everything had been taken from her. Your turn, Naomi said eventually, exhausted from talking. Tell me about you. The real you. Not the careful merchant persona. Kieran sighed. I'm the Alpha King of the Northern Frost Kingdom, the largest and most powerful pack in the Northern Territories. I inherited the position when I was 23 after my father was killed in challenge. I've spent the last 6 years trying to lead well, to be worthy of the responsibility, and to find a mate who could stand beside me as Luna Queen. Naomi felt like she'd been punched. Alpha King. Not just an alpha, but the Alpha King, the most powerful wolf in the entire region. And he thought she, a blind, scarred maid, was his fated mate. That's why you lied about being a merchant. Yes, I wanted to be seen as just Kieran, just a man trapped in a storm with a fascinating woman. Not the Alpha King with all the weight and expectations that come with the title. You can't be serious about me being your mate. Naomi's voice rose with panic. You need someone powerful, beautiful, politically connected. Not a blind maid who can barely navigate her own pack's territory. I need someone real. Someone who sees me, not my crown. Someone strong enough to survive impossible circumstances and kind enough to save children at great personal cost. Someone who navigates blindness with more grace than most wolves navigate life with perfect sight. Kieran's hands framed her face. I need you, Naomi. Not some theoretical perfect Luna. You. Your kingdom will never accept me. My kingdom will accept who I choose. And Naomi, his forehead pressed against hers. I choose you. I will always choose you. The question is, will you choose me? Naomi wanted to say yes. Wanted to believe that impossible dreams could come true. But 4 years of being told she was worthless, for years of surviving on the edges of pack life, for years of being invisible had taught her not to hope. I need time, she whispered. This is too much. Too fast. I can't just. Then take time. We have all night. All tomorrow. However long you need. Kieran pulled her close, and Naomi let herself lean against his chest, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady beneath her cheek. I'm not going anywhere, Naomi. I'll wait as long as it takes for you to trust this. To trust me. To trust that you're worthy of everything I'm offering. They fell asleep like that, curled together near the fire, while the storm raged outside and destiny waited for Naomi's answer. She woke to silence. The storm had passed, and pale morning light was warming her face. She could feel it even if she couldn't see it. Kieran was still beside her, his arm around her waist, his breathing deep and even. For the first time in 4 years, Naomi's wolf was completely at peace. Content. Home. Maybe Kieran was right. Maybe the moon goddess had led her through that blizzard for a reason. Maybe following the white wolf's howl hadn't been desperation. It had been destiny. I can feel you thinking, Kieran murmured, his voice rough with sleep. What's the verdict? Naomi took a deep breath. I am terrified, but I'm also tired of being scared. Tired of thinking I don't deserve good things. So yes, I'll try. I'll come with you and see if this crazy, impossible thing can actually work. Kieran's arms tightened around her. You won't regret it. I swear on everything I am. Naomi, you won't regret trusting me. She hoped he was right, because she'd just agreed to leave behind everything she knew to become the Luna Queen beside an Alpha King, despite being blind and scarred and completely unprepared for what was coming. But as Kieran helped her to her feet, and they prepared to face the world outside the cave, Naomi felt something she hadn't felt in 4 years. Hope. Thank you for watching Ken's Romance Stories, where love always finds its way home. If this story touched your heart, don't leave quietly. Tell me what part stayed with you in the comments. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss when the next love story begins. Until then, may your heart stay brave, your dreams stay wild, and may love always find you.